This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 112.
This is one thing I realized. One of the biggest signs of maturity is saving up for something you really want to buy and paying for it in cash.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, Firehouse Subs. Have you had them? He's a big fan. Clay Trader.
Yes, they are delicious Firehouse Subs. I've only had them a few times, but every time they've been really good. And if you do the look into the backstory, started by firefighters and all that sort of stuff. Always good to support that community. So if you have one nearby, I would highly recommend checking them out. Ches, do you have Firehouse Subs nearby? If so, have you ever had them?
Have not. Have never heard of them. But
really?
I am a big sub guy. Yeah, no, I've never heard of them.
Okay, there's got to be one in Denver somewhere. So, run a Google search. Yeah, check it out. Especially if you like subs. I mean, they're good stuff. I like Subway too, but to me, they're kind of a notch above Subway. So I guess we'll have to have we'll revisit this fun fact at some point and see if you've tried them and what your thoughts are on them.
It looks like I got one that's 16 minutes away from me. So actually, this weekend I think I will go do my Saturday treat at Firehouse Subs. But yeah, I love subs as well.
I was wondering what the awkward pause was for, but that was because you were
Google search.
you were waiting for the dial-up internet to bring up your page.
That's right.
I thought I heard that, but
yeah, somebody was calling me on the line and almost disconnected me there, so I'll have to call Grandma back later.
We're really getting old, Ches. That just dawned on me. The younger viewers have no idea why I was just making a that means nothing to them.
Yeah,
so
the 28K sound, good old 56K.
Yeah. Oh man. They have so much to be grateful for that even we don't even take for granted. But
that's right.
As we've talked many times before, there were people that traded stocks before online brokerages even were in play, which blows both of our minds. So technology is a crazy thing. But anyways, we have a great podcast. We've already conducted it. A little different twist, and Ches and I talked about this beforehand, and there's a reason why we wanted to bring him back. But this is more of a personal finance podcast than anything else. Yeah, there's some trading and there's some psychology at the beginning, but then it's more of what did this person do to kind of dig themselves out of a hole from a strategic standpoint and personal finances. So if you hate personal finances, shame on you, but I guess you don't want you'd be wasting your time listening to this. But very fascinating, lots of good tips, especially if you're looking for some other ways to bring in some additional income. But a lot of interesting things we discovered. So we are bringing back Pendar. He's been on the podcast before. It was episode 16, but I didn't know that. We've already, done the interview here, but he was back, very energetic. He's very passionate. A couple times, Ches and I had to kind of grab him and say, "Hey, we're over here right now." But I'm never going to fault anybody for being very passionate and just loving to talk about the topic that they're talking about. So again, a little bit different twist. And with that, leave us comments, whether that be on YouTube or on the website. Let us know what you think about these. Did you like the kind of personal finance angle or not? As always, Ches and I, we love to hear feedback and criticism. As long as it's just constructive criticism, that's all we ask for. So with that being said, let's get into hearing from Pendar and where he's currently sitting in his journey. Pendar, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Ches, we are terrible. Did you check what episode he was on previously? This is like, we
16.
always forget. Hey, Pendar's on the ball.
Look at that. He's more on the ball than we are.
Yeah, we had eaten and he didn't know. None of us knew it was a train wreck. So 16 it was, Pendar?
Yes, sir.
Holy smokes. So, we are now well over episode 110. So it's been a while, and this is going to be a little different, as Ches and I alluded to at the beginning. It's going to be more of a kind of personal finance approach. But I guess, Pendar, why don't you give listeners a quick nutshell version of kind of where you were and what got you involved in the stock market, and then we'll kind of pick it up from there. But just because obviously listeners, you can go back to episode 16 if you want to listen to all the nitty-gritty details, but just catch people up in a few sentences.
A few sentences would be, I was on a on the route to a music festival. I was coming back. I was with a friend. We went under the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and I just said it would be cool if I started trading and made $10,000 a month. You know, it's just like, you don't make 10,000, and it just started that I wanted to do it because of that. Because this person said I couldn't do it. Later on, I found out that it's not that easy. One night I was stumbled upon, and I just went in the money section and investment, and I just found out technical analysis and charts and annualized returns and Rule of 72 and all that good stuff. Then I just went on YouTube. I was looking up charting, and I came across one of your videos, and it was the pot stocks back there were really, really popping. So that's pretty much my entry to the world of first penny stocks, then trading, then investment, then greed, I guess, you would want to call it, because I didn't really know what I was doing.
All right, Chez, that was a great summary, wasn't it? Very short and concise.
He actually summed it up in a few sentences, so very good. Well done.
And I do always remember you, Pendar, about your intro, just driving under, the exchange in Chicago. That was, nobody else has ever given us that answer, so that's always one that's stuck with me. But so I guess kind of, because like I said, you're in a totally different mode right now. You're not trading right now, is that correct?
No, I haven't traded for since I guess I blew up my Roth IRA account. It happens, just because greed and fear and all that stuff. And even if I made some money, like this money was not going to be given to me for another 30 years or 35 years. But then I was greedy, and I just wanted to trade, So there was more of that to be surrendered. So I had to just, I guess, maybe, I don't know, shoot myself again in the foot and just get away from that whole thing and just not trade. It's been about a year and a half, I want to say.
So let's dig into that real quick, and then we'll get more into kind of what you've been doing since then, because your end goal is you still want to get back into trading, right?
Of course, but then there is the right mindset, and there's I want to say the unkosher mindset of like trading. I don't know, because you could really shoot yourself in the foot because you think you can have it all. Right.
So let's go back to, I like how you summarize everything, penny stocks, and then you were trading, and then all of a sudden greed, which is ended it. So and this was after your original podcast, right? When the greed really hit you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like raised my account like 25% like in 3 months, and I just wanted to do more of what I was doing because it was working. And then this was around the time when Apple was trying to break 120, and then it broke 120. And with all that said, the market just followed suit, and they had like a 2-week red candle weeks, I should say, and that pretty much just decimated my account just because I sold a bunch of things that didn't have a lot of extrinsic value in it, and vol went up, and that was that.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong here, because I want to touch on your greed topic, because it's such an important thing that can lead to kind of a downfall that you personally experienced as well. Essentially, what you were doing was you were just saying, you were essentially selling bets to people, saying there's no way the market goes down this far, there's no way vol increases this much. So essentially, you were just almost over leveraged in a way, because you were like, I'm just gonna rake this in, I'm just gonna farm it up, and move along to the next thing. Is that true or no?
That's true, and I was also selling more shorter dated. I was trying to beat the professionals in their own game, instead of going 45 days, I was going like 21 days, and that didn't have enough extrinsic in there, so that I was shooting myself in the foot. Literally.
And for context for listeners out there, essentially the shorter trades he goes for are much more sensitive to kind of moves, whether they're in his favor or against him. So these moves against him with kind of expanding volatility, and like I said, none of this stuff is overly complicated. Don't ignore the words and volatility and blah, blah, blah. They're not much to know, except that he was trying to essentially, like you said, you nailed it with that quote right there. That'll definitely be in the notes. You're trying to beat the professional traders, and I can speak from personal experience. I used to try to trade weekly SPX options, and I was like, oh, this is easy money. I got so many odds in my favor. And just like you said, all it takes is one move and one expansion, and you're pretty well hosed. So you go from, I'm going to make $100 to losing 1,000. So I've been there before. I learned my lesson. It sounds like you've learned your lesson too.
And so just to kind of summarize, because to piggyback off Chez's point, yeah, there's lots of words being thrown around, and all this going on with options. But at the end of the day, it's not really an options issue. It's not like this was way too complicated for Pendar. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pendar, but you said you had grown your account very nicely over the course of several months. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, is it safe to say you were feeling pretty good about yourself? Dare I say maybe a little cockiness crept in, and you thought,
well, let me explain. Let me explain, because I was doing earnings plays, and after like a few earnings plays that I was selling iron straddles, or is it iron? It's not iron. It's a form of iron condor, but it has the protective wings because it's in the Roth IRA. After a few of those, I was profitable, so I just put more of those in there at the same time. So if tomorrow was 10 earnings, I maybe had like 3 or 4, and that was what was the real risk, and I wasn't really looking at it like that, because hey, what if all of them miss at the same time?
Right. And the driving force behind this from a mental perspective is, it sounds like you were just feeling very confident in your skills. Like,
oh yeah, super cocky. I'm sorry if you're, but yeah, it was just bad. It's bad. Like, and this is the thing. Like, I know my body, and I know my like how my body responds and my emotions respond at this point, where when I'm super cocky, I just rather go like and not do anything, because I know I've shot myself so many times in the foot, because the cockiness is just it's like no limit. You just keep even going higher and higher with getting cocky, and hey, this one worked too, this one worked too, this one worked too, I'm gonna get 3 times as cocky as I was before. Like it never ends. It
spins out of control. I like how you say that, because that's absolutely the truth. And the way quote unquote cockiness works in the market is, not only do you take on more risk in terms of maybe not diversifying your strategies or diversifying your positions like you should, but on top of that, like Pendar's saying, he just kept putting more and more into these positions. So sure, if it worked out, then hey, it worked out very well, which fed the cockiness. But then the next one, he put in that much more. So then all it takes is 1 or 2 and kaput, shooting yourself in the foot. So I guess, what was the final kind of bullet through the foot? I mean, was it one play? Was it a bunch of plays that all went against you? What finally kind of, basically you said you blew up your IRA account, right? So what was the final straw that broke that camel's back?
Again, going back to episode 16, I guess I said this, it's like a bad habit of mine. I guess I do this often. Now I know that I do this often because I've said this before. And one of the one was that I would put positions on which I can't close the same day. And while I was taking Mr. Dalton's classes, I was thinking maybe I could play these in the longer term, and just have these options that are like maybe 2 weeks out, but go long on them. Whether if it's as a put or if it's a call, just go long on them, but just give yourself a lot of wiggle room. Look at everything in a 30-minute cycles. Look at the market profile, look at the volume profile, look at the psychology, look at the overnights, look at yesterday's close, and all these things. And I was in the rhythm, and I went. Here's the kicker. I went to Lake Havasu with my buddies. He has a boat, and I realized in Lake Havasu that I'm really doing this just to get satisfaction of like adrenaline out of it, because once I was on the boat and we were going 55 miles an hour, I didn't really care about the market, and that was like the epitome for me. Like that I don't know. That was like the epiphany for me. That kind of like blew out that maybe I'm just looking for adrenaline. Because if I was about to really do it, it would be really boring. I would be sitting at the desk, and it wouldn't have any adrenaline. But
so it's safe to say you kind of found almost a parallel with going 55 miles per hour on choppy water to your trading. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly, because when I was on the choppy water and I was barely getting any signal, I was not even looking at my phone. I was just having fun, and maybe that was the equivalent of being in choppy water in the market and always looking at your phone and trading from your phone in Lake Havasu in Arizona, where it's in the middle of the desert and you barely have any signal. That was the parallel. So that
I think it's great that, obviously that had to happen for you to recognize it. And that's generally how a lot of these things happen, is it'll be something completely, not even related to trading, and you'll be like, aha, the light bulb finally goes on your head and you say, hey, maybe there's some deeper things here that are leading to, why I'm doing poorly or why I'm pushing the limit when, I could be doing much safer things, essentially, doing 10 miles per hour on the lake in a pontoon boat versus 55 on a speed boat is the same as trading shorter term positions versus kind of using longer term and kind of the stuff you had studied. So I mean, I guess so you have this epiphany now what are you going to take some of that back to the market? Were you going to close out of your positions when this happened, or
So-
were you already out of the market at that time?
When the whole thing happened from the $2,000 original position or funding I had on my Roth IRA, I took it all the way to 2720, and then lost like a bunch of like earning place, and it just came down to like 2250, and then from that I cracked the 2000 level, and it was a psychological level for me too, because once I cracked the 2000 level, I just wanted to get above it. I was just even pushing even harder to get above it. And I was putting even worse than before, trades with lower dated, because heck, I need to get above this right away, because a 2000 level in the, I guess, TD Ameritrade is a margin requirement. But then I found out, because it's cash, it's not even required to be above 2000. That's for their, margin accounts. Then you need to have 2000 at least, or 2500. So I don't know. Later on, I found out that I didn't even have to do that. But in the heat of the moment, you don't even think. You just, system one kicks in, and you just, whatever is fast and whatever is intuitive, you just do that. And I guess my fast and intuitive wasn't really fully planned out, because I was fearful, I was greedy, and I was a human, and I was not thinking mechanically and robotically.
Yeah, that's great how such an arbitrary number such as 2,000. I can relate. It's like, even let's just say $100. You drop below $100 on your day. You're like, crap. I wanted to say at least I had $100 day. So then you are starting to force trade so you can get back up above 100. Or maybe you're at like 479. And you're like, well, I want to say I had a $500 day. So let me go try to find $21 in the profit or in the green somewhere. And then all of a sudden, you just, so yeah, it's weird how the mind works. It just likes those round numbers. So I totally get, and that's if you've never traded before and you're thinking that's the dumbest thing ever, if it went below 2,000, who cares? Just, yeah, easier said than done. The mind is definitely a tricky place. So you blew up your account. We established that. It's just greed kicked you in the face. And so what was your next, what's that?
I decimated my account, so there was like $160 left, so I just pulled that out, put it back in my bank account, and then never traded.
Okay, so you're done. $168 into your bank account. I'll keep it up to you how deep in your personal financial situation you want to get. But at that point in time, when you pulled out that $168 and you put it into your bank account, what did your financial situation look like? I mean, I know you've been working on debts and stuff like that, but at that static moment in time, like I said, ball is in your court as far as how much you want to disclose. But what was your overall financial picture looking like?
I was overall with all my, I use Mint. Mint, it's part of Intuit.
We love Mint here. Yeah, we love Mint here.
So I use it on my phone, and all my accounts is on there. I have a budget system, where it shows me like $500 for gas, $160 for groceries, blah blah blah. Just goes down. It's like $1,100 for a month that I spent. And if I make less than $1,100, and I'm not going to tell you how budgeting works, because you have a course, you can go take the whole budgeting thing. But it is the way your course says to do it. But except I'm doing it with Mint.
Okay, but here at that moment, like rewind, when you were just like, crap, I just decimated my account. I only have $168 left. What was your financial picture? Were you doing a budget already at that point in time, or what exactly was your state of finances, back several, a year and a half ago, whenever that occurred?
I wasn't religiously like following my budget. Let's just put it like that. I just had like a soft like $400 worth of gas, I don't know, $200 worth of this, $100 in like electronics, because I like to spend a lot of money on electronics and softwares and iTunes,
okay.
I guess, apparently,
And then what and you had different debts too? What kind of debts were you looking at that point in time?
So I had $5,000 in my U.S. bank account, which was I'd financed a bunch of synthesizers and drum machines and equipments for my studio, which I barely make it. I haven't made a single dime out of it. So after like 5 years of doing this, I don't think it's a business; it's a hobby. But I mean,
well said.
Let's just be honest. I mean, but that it is something that keeps me out of my shell, or like it gets me back in my shell. I'm an introvert, so I like to fiddle with sounds. I like to be by myself. I like to recuperate my energy and get back to the society. So music helps. Making music helps. So I'm spending all that money. I don't know. I haven't made a single dime out of it, but I spent $5,000 on that card, which was spent before on some other card with higher interest. So it was $5,000 on that one, $2,000 on my Visa, and Yeah, it was just that. It was like $7,000, and ever since then, the account with the U.S. Bank is at 23 now. All the visas and all the other cards.
Wait! You're skipping way ahead. You're skipping
Whoa.
way ahead. I want to take this step by step. Let's break down what you did here.
Sure.
I know you want to get to the punchline, Pendar, but take a chill pill, buddy, and let's just all take a deep breath. We don't want I mean, we can just wrap this up. I mean, if you want to finish the story, you can be done in like 2 minutes. So I mean,
definitely not. No.
All right, thanks for tuning in to episode 112.
Yeah,
guys. We'll see you
we're
next
done.
week.
Yeah. So all right, actually, there one question. Because there's a lot of people out there, and I see it, and I've had this myself too a couple of times. But what finally just clicked in your mind? You're like, you know what, Pendar? This is not a business. This is just a hobby. Did something happen with that? Because a lot of people, and for you listeners out there, I love Shark Tank. And sometimes you just look at those people and you're thinking, oh, come on. This is so a hobby. This is not a business. And the sharks are all trying to get them to, view it like that, but they just no. This is a business. This is a business. And I love that the honesty here. But 5 years you thought this was a business before it finally clicked that this is just a hobby. Was there something that led you to that, or what finally made the light bulb go up where you had to kind of make that self admission to yourself, which is I'm assuming wasn't very easy?
I listened throughout my journey doing a lot of Lyft and Uber rides. I got in the habit of getting an Audible account and an audiobook account, and I would listen to a book like once a week, a different book once a week. So one of the books I got was Gary Vaynerchuk, Crush It, and he talks about in Crush It that you could be doing a lot of things, and if you're really not making money out of it, just call your losses and go do something you could be doing. So I'm in that essence, I asked my CPA and said, I guess after 6 years, the IRS looks at your business, and if you're not making any money, it's a hobby. So that's another version of it.
Interesting.
The technical side of a hobby, correct?
Yeah, the technical side of a hobby. But yeah, I mean, I love music. I love to be able to one day, and maybe I'm in love with this idea, but I like to think that I'm a musician. I've never taken any classical training or anything like that. I just listen to sounds, and if it sounds good, I just bounce it and I just keep going over it till it's a full thing. But now, in all respect, it's still a hobby. I haven't made a single dime out of it. I have serious gears. Nobody's giving me their stuff to work on because I'm no one yet. So let's just accept that for what it is and move on to something else.
And there's nothing wrong with hobbies at all because, like you said, it almost grounds you to kind of go back into the world. And I'm totally with you in the sense that I'm an introvert. Like doing these podcasts and stuff was for me like really stepping out of my comfort zone. So we're not by any means on this podcast saying there's anything wrong with kind of hobbies and stuff like that. But obviously you've racked up a good amount of debt doing this. And like I said, hobbies cost some money. Like I used to be into motorcycling and do a bunch of paintballing, stuff like that. All these things are hobbies. And if they provide you pleasure, that's great. But now you said essentially you had accumulated this kind of a good amount of debt. What was your plan to kind of start attacking that and chipping that down? Because obviously that's kind of a continual process. And, Kelly and myself, we've been doing that since we moved. We totally underestimated how much the move would cost to move from, California to Colorado. So we've been doing the same thing. But I want to hear how you personally kind of attacked that debt and, have reduced it as far as you have so far.
Personally, I saw... I saw the Rule 72 explained to me at one of these, I guess, financial services meetings I went to. So that's always with me. I knew
what is the Rule 72? I think I know what it is, but I'm not quite positive. So
Rule 72, everybody needs to know this. I don't know why the schools don't teach this, and it really needs to be the first thing you learn in a class of math or finance, and that would be, 72 in the numerator, and in the denominator would be the APR that you're either annual percentage return that you're either paying or receiving. And as Einstein said, this is the eighth wonder of the world, interests. And if you understand
compounding interest. Compounding interest.
If you understand it, you receive it. If you don't understand it, you pay it. It's that easy. I mean, so if I have a credit card that's 16% interest, I can't do arithmetics right now. Okay, give me a second.
That's bad. It snowballs against you if you have a credit card at 16% interest is what the Rule 72 is going to tell you.
72 divided by 16, it's 4.5 years for my debt to double. If you're receiving 16, it takes 4.5 years for your for your original principal to double.
Okay.
So I knew that, and I knew I was shooting myself in the foot by not either lowering my APR or by not paying these highest amount of credit card debts first. And there's maybe somebody's in debt, maybe they need to get out of debt. Look up Snowball debt calculator, and it's free. You can find one, and the way it works, you just put the highest amount of APR first. Doesn't matter what the balance is. You just want to pay the highest APR first and the lowest one last. And if you're making $1,000, you're always making $1,000. You just want to set it accordingly so the highest one gets paid out first, and of course you need to do your budget. So it's every dollar counts, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you really started to buckle down, were you just doing the minimum payments then on your credit card?
Of course, I was just like whatever I had in whatever account, I would just pay. I didn't really care.
Yeah,
but
and
then,
no, go ahead.
But then, I sat down and I'm like, I'm really shooting myself in the foot. There is a correct way of doing it, and there is the wishy-washy way of doing it. And I was always being wishy-washy.
I like how, yeah, there is a wishy-washy way to do it. But I get it. I mean, it's funny when I always pay my credit cards off in full, but sometimes you look at the amount and be like, wow, that is so much lower than what is actually due. So I can totally, they make it easy to be wishy-washy, they being the credit card companies, and by no means are any three of us bashing on credit card companies. I mean, at the end of the day, it's personal responsibility. Go look yourself in the mirror. But I will say they make it easy to be wishy-washy by throwing out those low numbers compared to what's actually due. Isn't that, I mean, Ches, I would assume that you now pay off your credit cards in full every month, Ches. So, but isn't it crazy that how that minimum payment is so much lower than what you actually owe?
Yeah, it's totally a trap for some people too, because they think, oh, I might have spent $500 this month and I only got to pay $10. Woohoo! Like, I'll just keep racking it up, and it's almost evil in a way. And don't get me wrong, if you go on hard times and like you totally need the money for some kind of emergency and you have no spare fund, then sure, it's great that you can only have to make the minimum payment to satisfy that. But at the same time, like what he's saying about shooting himself in the foot with the interest, I mean, it's just totally true how it can absolutely snowball out of control right in front of your eyes, if you're not in control of it.
Yeah, and I guess so. Maybe you don't know these numbers, but how much did you put onto the credit card, and then how much did it snowball against you? Do you have any idea on that?
Let's see. I know as much as how much interest I paid last year was just about $1,100.
Okay.
This year I don't think I've paid any interest so far. Just because the only thing that's left on my account is the U.S. Bank, and I've paid so much ahead of time that my next payment is not till 2019 of it's July of 2019.
Okay, nice. But point being, you paid $1,100 more than what you would have needed to if you had just been paying it off, because you kept making those minimum payments. And that's, I don't know about you guys, but $1,100, I can think about a lot of cool stuff to do with $1,100. That, like I said, Pendar paid towards interest rates because he kept paying those low monthly fees. So for you listeners out there, if you're not familiar with credit cards, especially if you're in college, I still remember college, that first week, all the credit card companies setting up their tables outside the dorms. Hey, come get a free t-shirt and a hat. And here's this credit card. And it was just, But yeah, so if you're new, don't pay what's due. Don't pay that minimum. Because like Pendar, you could just be paying.
Don't spend what you don't have. It's as simple as that. It really is.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'll
Pendar,
throw this in there.
Yeah, go for it.
This is one thing I realized. One of the biggest signs of maturity is saving up for something you really want to buy and paying for it in cash.
I would
I would absolutely 1,000% agree that, because it takes, you nailed it with the maturity thing. Don't get me wrong, we've mentioned in a couple of podcasts now, I'm in the process of looking to buy some land. I could totally finance the whole thing, but to me, it's going to be much more rewarding to actually just literally go there and write a check and be done with it and be like, wow, I really planned for X amount of years for this, and it's rewarding in itself, and you absolutely nailed it in the sense of it's a sign of maturity. It really is.
Yeah, Go ahead.
No, I just want to say it's more about the journey than the actual goal itself, because you can have whatever you want right now, but you can have it right now. You have to pay interest with later. That's it.
And this is a perfect segue, because I want to get back to go kind of full circle back to your budget, but at the same time, and this is where the power of a budget comes into play. You can do financial forecasting. So that's how people buy houses, right? It's like, okay, obviously I can't buy this house right now in cash. And if I save up for it cash, I'm not going to buy the house for like 40 years from now. But with the budget in place, you can say, all right, I know I can put this amount into my house payment per month. So I fully agree with Pendar. For smaller items, do you really have to finance a 60-inch TV? I don't think so. Just save up for that sucker and pay with it in cash. But for bigger price items, I don't have anything against payments per month, but that's where a budget comes into play. So you said early on you were kind of just willy-nilly with your budget. So when you blew up your account and you're staring at the $7,000 in credit card debt, did you revisit your budget? And what sort of things did you change, or did you use different apps? But walk us through all this from a budget perspective.
All right, let's do this. So I pretty much had Mint, but I was telling you it was just wishy-washy. I had like some soft budgets, it wasn't really following to the...
a mental stop loss with your budget, kind of.
It's a mental stop loss. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Soft budgets.
Yeah.
Then
I like you put that, a soft budget.
Then I really went to Mint, and I went and looked at the charts and the graphs, and the most I've ever spent on gas, the least amount I've ever spent on gas, and based on your course, I followed suit and did it the way you said. How much I made monthly, how much I spent most monthly, all of that. Pretty much I just either chose the highs or chose the lows and kept it like that. And ever since then, whatever I had extra, I would just that was the money that it wasn't accounted for. It's just the extra that it's in the budget that I didn't spend that month. So all of that pretty much helped me just to get ahead. I find out exactly how much I need to spend for gas based on the amount of driving I do and how much gas are. In that essence, like I try to make every action I do be as efficient as possible. When I go pick up a passenger, as soon as I get to their location to pick them up, I shut off my car, unless if it's a hot day. I just shut off my car, wait for them to get out. If I drop off a passenger, I just don't drive around aimlessly. I just park my car because I don't want to burn resources looking for a ping. I don't know. You have to kind of like be self-motivated and be on top of your game. Wake up in the morning before everybody else is up and give rise to people that really... I'm telling you like how to do this literally. If somebody's interested to do an Uber and Lyft.
We'll get to your job in a second. What? Pendar, you are excited about this. I love your passion, but you're jumping all over the place. Let's focus right now on the budget, and then we're going to get to your income, what you're doing for income. I'm trying to break this down in a sequential format. So budget-wise, though, it sounds like you got serious, and you're defining got serious, which sounds really awesome about Mint. Ches, you said you use it, and they offer graphs and stuff like that, so you know all these expenses.
Oh, yeah. So not only can you, like you said, we base all of our budgets on, you can essentially load up your financial data from like up to 12 months back, and then it'll keep track after you've connected everything. I was able to look at the trends of, how much gas is. So just like you said, you had figured it out based on the miles you drive. We just figured ours out kind of in a similar way, looking at previous months and what the average is, and that's how we set our budgets for that. And then you can really take a hard look at, where are you spending a bunch? It almost gives you a pie chart of all of your expenses, and you can see like, right. Ooh, you ate out a bunch of food. Like you're just going out and spending a bunch of money on food. And you're like, we can definitely trim this down to, half or less. And it's a real visual way, Clay, like you said. It doesn't have to be, don't get me wrong. Excel spreadsheets generally turn a lot of people off. Some people really enjoy them. Some
I'm
people
a caveman. I have no problem admitting that I'm a caveman.
Yeah, exactly. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But a lot of people benefit from seeing, as simple as just a pie graph to say, oh my gosh, 50% of my expenses this month were, going to bars or something like that. And when they see that, that's the eye opener. And just like you said, Pendar, you absolutely nailed it again in the sense of, you had a soft budget, but a soft budget isn't taking a hard look at like the nitty gritty. Like, the thing is like we've added up how much our interest expenses were, and we're like, wow, stop doing this. This is an unnecessary expense we have and stuff like that. And just being able to take a hard look at that. Yeah, I'm an absolute believer and lover of Mint. And I use it every single week to kind of check at it, and also will give you kind of a recap of your previous month. So you could say, ooh, we went over here, or, the budget is definitely a little bit larger here than we need to, so we can trim that back. And just another way to kind of save more money. And, if you want, look for bigger purchases or kind of save up for that. Or, it doesn't even have to be for a purchase. It could just be, I want my bank account to grow to this, and this is how I'm going to achieve it. But yeah, it's a great way to kind of keep yourself accountable.
Now, Pendar, I want to ask you, yep. It sounds like you are pinching pennies, and I mean that in a total complimentary fashion. So, you made the comment, when I drop somebody off, I'll turn off the engine. So you're literally trying to save pennies, and I love it. I love it. Would you say that efficiency, you're trying to be as efficient as possible. Would you say that comes from the budget? Because now that you pay attention to the budget, you realize, oh, wow, I can save money here. Oh, wow, I can save money here if I do this, that, and the other. Is the budget what's kind of that driving force that's allowing you to visualize and be so efficient?
Well, that's one of it. And another thing is, like, I never know where I'm going to go with any of these passengers. I might be going down the street. I might be going to Disneyland. Who knows? So, it just helps. I don't know if they're going to take 1 minute to be out. I don't know if they're going to take 5 minutes to be out. It just helps to just, like, it's all about the process, not the goal. Follow the correct process and do it every single time. And my correct process was this is going back to the budget. I opened multiple Capital One 360 accounts because they're free, and over here there's a lot of 7-Eleven, so if I ever need to get cash out, I can just go to a 7-Eleven. They're open 24 hours and they don't charge any fees, but regard that, I opened a bunch of 360 accounts because they're free, and every time I would get a check from Uber or Lyft or TaskRabbit or whatever else I was doing, based on the percentages I had of my past 12 months of how much I spend on gas, I would just send that much money percentage-wise to those accounts. So I have an account for my auto maintenance fund. I have an account for my taxes. I have an account for my FU funds. I have an account for my what is it? Just for vacationing, which is like a couple percent. I just put in there just so I can do something if I want to. And then I have my main account, which is the chicken, and everything comes in and out of that one. So in essence, when you're thinking about something, you literally have 5 seconds to make a decision. Otherwise, then it would get wishy-washy, as I like to say, and it gets in the back of your head. And this is from one of the books I read, the 5-second rule. So 5 seconds, in the morning you wake up, you have 5 seconds to get up, literally. Otherwise, you'll fall asleep. So the 5 second, when I get my check, I gotta diversify it in the auto maintenance fund, in my taxes, in my emergency funds, and in my vacation fund, and keep whatever's left over my checking. It's what I'm gonna be spending for the next day, for gas, for whatever I'm gonna be using, or pay my credit cards with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You just answered. I was going to ask, so where do your credit card payments come from? But it's coming from the money that's left over after you split up your paycheck to all those other accounts.
You gotta always make sure to pay yourself first. So pay yourself first, but don't go over the means. So paying myself first was just have some money for vacation, pay your taxes so the taxman doesn't come after you every 3 months, have some emergency funds. Mine right now, I depleted it last month because I had to go get a rental, but now it's back at 600, just because I put 25% away every paycheck. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's $6, if it's $26, if it's $260, doesn't matter. I just put 25% away. I put 10% away from my auto maintenance fund. I put 2% away from my for my vacation fund, and my taxes, I only have to pay $470 every 3 months. So as soon as it hit $470, I just don't. Well, I take 25% and put it into the tax saving, and as soon as it hits $470 for the quarter, I don't put any more money in it. I just put the rest 25% in my saving, which is the FU fund at the moment, or whatever, the emergency fund, and that is pretty much for me, just so I don't ever go use my credit cards. If I need to do a huge purchase, I just pay for it in cash.
Yeah, this is a thing of beauty. So, all right, I'm just shooting the breeze here. I'm listening. I'm thinking. So, your FU, your rainy day fund. What number do you want to get there? Is it 6 months worth of expenses, or what?
It will be 6,000, like roughly. That's what it has to be, because every month, if I'm my budget, currently living the way I live, not changing my habits, not changing the way I go look for not do Uber and Lyft and pay for gas and all that stuff. It's about $1,100 a month. So I need to have $1,100 a month for 6 months. Well, and then getting back to Uber.
So
and
$6,600 is what your rainy
Yeah.
day fund should be.
roughly, yeah, $6,600.
Okay, what is it at right now?
About 600.
It's at $600.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are looking to build up to that 6,600, and when you get there, obviously you don't need to add any more money to it, and that'll
Of
free
course.
up more cash flow to go to other things, which is good. So you'll have the spillover effect, and then 2% for vacations. I was gonna pick on you for that, but 2%, I mean, that's nothing. So
You really can't come at them for 2%. That's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
small part
now,
of
if
the
you said
puzzle.
20%, I was going to bring down the hammer, be like, all right, buddy, let's do a little but 2%, that's fine. So yeah, that's and I don't do this. I don't think Ches does this, but I like how you literally opened up separate bank accounts and were just like, that account is for auto maintenance, that account is for savings, that account is for that. It makes things very easy to kind of divide and conquer, if you will.
And I haven't used my auto maintenance fund for about 3 months, just because last month I had to go get a rental, so I depleted my the emergency fund for the rental.
Oh,
And-
okay. So is that why that account dropped
Yeah,
down? Okay,
exactly.
Okay. But you know what? That's just that's the beautiful thing about an emergency. You had an emergency, but your emergency was not, oh crap, where do I get the money from? Oh crap, here we go, 25% interest on. No, your emergency was, well, I need a rental. Oh, look, there's some money in my emergency fund. Crisis averted. I mean, and that in and of itself, that's the beauty of an emergency fund. So yeah,
you want
that's
to make
awesome.
it so your brain could be there and calculate things that you want to calculate, and it's not sitting there calculating, how am I going to find gas? How am I going to pay for my car? Because I want to sit there and calculate, where's my stop going to be and where's my profit target going to be? And, to get to that, you need to figure out and like straighten out all the other quirks and nicks in in your finances and how money comes in and how money leaves your pocket.
Exact. Oh, perfect segue. So we've established he had a lot of debt. He was, kind of at the low. We've established his strategy in terms of approaching the debt, and that came with the budget. And then he mentioned the word income. So at this point in time, when your budget was when your IRA was decimated, you had all this debt, you were running a soft budget. At that point in time, what was your solution? And you've kind of given this away bits and pieces, but let's really dive into this. What was going to be your shovel? What was going to be your income tool to start to dig yourself out of this hole?
Income hole. Well, there's multiple ways to do it. I had to go
Talk about what are you doing right now? What did you start to do? I mean, I want to hear about all the different ways that you started to generate income for yourself. Because I know one thing you didn't do is you didn't hold up the woe is me card. You didn't play the, oh, everybody feels sorry for me. You got to work. So define got to work. Tell us about all these income sources that you started to utilize to generate that income.
Well, I don't ever want to be like working for anyone. I can't ever have a boss. That's just me. But so I wanted to just be free. I wanted to have my own time. I wanted to be able to be free, and whenever I want to look at the market, I could look at the market. When I want to talk to my friends, I could talk to my friends. I don't know. That's what I wanted. So with that, there's a few gig economies. Right now, we're in the gig economy world. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's TaskRabbit, there's Postmate, there is DoorDash, there is. I haven't signed up for DoorDash, but there's like a bunch of other ones that I was looking at, and I just went with Lyft. And after, I started with Uber, and then I found out that I could get tips. So that was my edge. I wanted the little edge, so I went with the tip. And I found that, Lyft doesn't have a lot of customers. I mean, they have like 1/10 of the customer base of Uber. So I switched to Uber, then I switched back to Lyft. It was just, trying to test the market. I signed up with TaskRabbit, did like $600 income from TaskRabbit in like, 20 hours.
What is it? TaskRabbit?
TaskRabbit, TASK Rabbit.
Gotcha. TaskRabbit. Gotcha.
And then it all depends. Do you have a car? Do you not have a car? Do you want to drive people around? Because you got to think about it. This car, it needs maintenance. You're going to be driving people around. You're going to depreciate it. If you finance the car, God forbid, if the bank's going to come after you, you're going to be upside down anyway because you put so much mileage on the car. So I had to really figure out what I wanted to do. So I don't know. I did TaskRabbit for a while, just so I don't put.
You're a business building at this point in time. That's the summary. You were building a business. You're figuring out what's the best way to build the business. Sorry to cut you off, but that's essentially what you're doing. And I love business building. So this is, I like to hear all this because that's what it is. It's try this, try that. So yeah, keep on. So Pendar is business building. This is good
building
stuff.
And exploring the options, finding which one is not only the best fit for him, but also great in terms of kind of income. Where is the happy medium of, if he doesn't want to, like you said, there's just so many of, I forgot what you use, gig economy or something like that. Yep. I love that. That's totally awesome. If you hate people and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to make a mess of my car, most likely you don't want to deliver passengers. That's fine. You could deliver items. There's so many other options you have. And just like you said, Clay, he's literally just exploring which option is the best fit for him. So yeah, business building, you nailed it. So obviously you go through a couple of these. Now, where do you go from there? Because obviously this is good in the sense of, you don't want to work in a traditional office and have a boss and be one of, 1,000 nameless employees. And there's options out there for you. You didn't dig yourself in a hole and cry about it. You literally tried the options. And, what have you found?
Yeah, definitely. Because I turn this into a little mini course for listeners. I mean, maybe people are out there taking notes right now. Like, okay, this guy's going to tell me how he did it. So no detail is too small. I mean, literally walk us through what you've discovered and what works best. I mean, tell everybody everything.
All right. So to do Uber and Lyft, you obviously need a car. You obviously need to pay for gas yourself. You need to pay for your own maintenance yourself. You need to clean the car so it's presentable. So you possibly could have a good experience with people and maybe get tips. With Lyft, same thing. You obviously need the car. All that thing I just said. I'm not going to repeat myself. But you make tips. And it's a little bit better platform just because people let you make tips, but there's not as much demand for it. So I figured out that I'm going to just pretty much do everything. I'm going to do TaskRabbit, I'm going to do Lyft, and I'm going to do Uber. TaskRabbit, you obviously just people that are looking for tasks that you can turn over and do for them. I've cleaned people's houses. I'm not ashamed to say it.
I love it. That's good stuff there. I respect you even more. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I went and bought a Dimer steam cleaner, so I was cleaning people's
houses. I love it.
With a steam cleaner, so there was no detergent, so that was my edge. And I wasn't really had to scrub, so the steam cleaner was doing all the scrubbing. Except it would just get really hot and steamy. I made $600 off of that. Bought the machine for $1,000. I still have the machine. I clean my car with it now, spotless. What else I did? At the same time, I had the machine in the back of my car. I would do Lyft rides and Uber rides, and then sometimes I would get like, oh, come clean this house, and I would have the machine with me, so I would just efficiently not waste mileage and minutes, and I would be on my way to their house, and then as soon as I'm done, find something to eat, clean up, change a shirt because I would get really steamy with the steam cleaner, and then go back to work.
Well, that was all work at the same time. So let me ask this: you paid $1,000 for that machine. Has the machine paid for itself now?
Yeah, of course, because I use it religiously to clean my car and like my friend's car. Now, a few of them are started doing ride shares just because they needed extra money. And I told them about the whole Rule 72 and that snowball effect. And they're going to be debt-free in 17 months versus 84 months. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, you just got to show people the road. If they want to take it, they'll take it. They don't want to take it, that's fine. I mean, there's many ways to be discovered.
So how many houses have you cleaned with your steam cleaner?
About 13.
And how much on average do you get per clean?
It's like $40 or something. Okay. But then they charge like 30%. The first time, the second time they charge 15%.
So on average, how much do you walk away with?
Like $47 for 2 hours.
So that you walk away with cash profit after fees and all that stuff?
Yeah. But the thing with TaskRabbit is they want you to bring your own cleaning supply. I didn't want to buy cleaning supply, so I went and bought a steam cleaner.
No, so you did I'm running the numbers right now. So as of right now, you got on your $1,000, which it doesn't even factor in the fact that you're creating a good customer experience for your other business with Uber and Lyft with a spotless car. But right now you're running a 61% return on investment for that $1,000. So if you've made $611 roughly, 1,000. So yeah, 60% return on investment. I'd say that's a pretty good return, and it's only a matter of time before that sucker's totally paid for, and then just it's all
and
pure
it almost
profit
comes
from
in
that
at
point.
about $20 an hour too, which is nothing to scoff at by any means at all. Walking away with it's close to that. Obviously
I just hold the button.
Expenses. Yeah, exactly.
I just hold the button and go all across the thing with a towel and then clean it. The steam literally does all the job. And I'm not trying to boast the steam cleaner, but then I'm not a person who's down to scrub. I'm down the person who's ready to like take some calculated risk and figure out if
you're down with the person that cares about time and realizes that time is the most valuable commodity. So let me make sure that I'm making the most efficient use of it. And I would say based on a 60% return so far, and to Chez's point, if that machine is helping you get $20 an hour because you can get it done faster than getting down and doing it on your hands and knees, I'd say that was a wise investment on your part.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I would like to say, people who use TaskRabbit, people who have the money don't have the time. So that's where it kicks in, that you come in and you might be able to charge them even more. I mean, maybe you might be able to create a portfolio and get off of TaskRabbit and don't pay 30% or 15% for a client to TaskRabbit, and then keep all the profit yourself. But you need to start from somewhere. So I was just really testing everything. I was going to go buy a car wash machine system from Daimler. I'm glad I didn't do that, because in California you can't really do that. You have to collect your wastewater, and you can't go in the rivers.
Okay, and
stuff like
here's me. You can take or leave it. This is just me. I would say no more investments into any other business. Of course, gas. That's. But no more other investments until the steam cleaner's paid off. So you don't want all you don't want all your capital investments to snowball against you. So first get the steam cleaner paid off, and then if you got to, I don't know, get another steam. Do you know what I mean? Though you don't
profit after that, right?
Yeah, you don't want to keep making an investment in there and an investment there and an investment there. Then all of a sudden you have all these business debts that are stacking up against you, and you don't want that either. So I don't have any problem against strategic investments like you did with $1,000. You're sitting at a 60% return. But I definitely, so in other words, that was a wise decision not to go and purchase that cleaning car kit or whatever that was, because
it's expensive. It's like $5,000.
That's one thing at a time. Invest, get that investment paid off for. Then, like Chez said, it's all profit, and then you can start to put those profits into another investment if it's going to make your time more efficient. So talk to us about Lyft and Uber, or no, go ahead.
I'm pretty happy where I'm at. Like right now, I'm down to go back on TaskRabbit, because I haven't been doing TaskRabbit, because TaskRabbit is like, you just gotta go and work, and I don't know, driving. I like to go around and drive, see the city and all that other stuff. But it's more open than like.
Can I be brutal? Can I be blunt with you here?
Yeah, of course.
If you put $1,000 in for TaskRabbit to clean floors, then get out there and at least clean enough floors to pay for itself. Because I mean. You know what I'm saying? I realize you want to drive around and see the city, but you still got $400 left to pay off on this thing. So I'd go clean some more floors. Or do you make more per hour driving is the question here.
I do. That's the thing. Recently been getting paid anywhere from like $19 to like $28 an hour with Uber and Lyft. Just because I don't just aimlessly go out. I have a set schedule. I know where the demands are, because I've been doing this for over over 1,100 rides with Uber and 2,500 rides with Lyft. So I kind of know where the demand is, of what time I should be up, at what time there's no more demand. Just go home and relax and get a coffee, see your dogs and whatever.
Okay, so when you go home, is that a time where TaskRabbit could open up and you could go clean some floors, or is that like past peak hours for TaskRabbit?
Well, when I get home, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So I get up at...
So you could go clean floors then?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, well, you know what? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a barbarian, but until that $1,000 is paid off, I would say, just outside looking in, from 10 to noon, 10 to 2, I don't know what it is. Pendar's now cleaning floors, so he can get that next $400 paid off. So at least you can say that investment is paid off in full. So, Chez, am I being too barbaric, or do you follow my logic here?
No, I totally follow your logic here, but I just want to let you know, Pendar, this is the cheapest therapy and motivation you'll ever get from Clay, and we just want to thank you for being a guest. But I mean, he nailed it. It's totally reasonable what you're saying, Clay, and I want to completely emulate the sound of at least pay off the steam cleaner in full, and then anything you do after that, regardless if you make more money driving for Uber or not, at least that thing is totally paid off. And then in the event you say, hey, I don't even want to do steam cleaning at all anymore. I don't even want to, give TaskRabbit the cut from these jobs I'm doing. You could honestly just sell the steam cleaner, and remember, that's all profit because you've already paid it off. So
right.
Beautifully
there's a lot
said.
of different
Beautifully
ways you can
said.
do it.
Yep, exactly. But the thing is, you can't, because what I'm worried about, Pendar, is I don't want you to form habits where you're like, okay, make an investment into this, and then I'll pay it off like half. And then, okay, maybe I use it here, maybe I use it there, but you never really pay the thing off for its intended purpose. So I would say definitely get it paid off.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm not like, I know I'm flawed,
and that's why I'm telling you, Pendar, because I know you're not taking any of this personal. You want to get as efficient as possible. So that's why I'm just shooting the breeze with you and letting you know what I'm hearing. But Ches,
I appreciate it.
Ches nailed it. As soon as you get that thing paid off, if you're like, you know what, steam cleaning, I do want to just drive around, then just liquidate the thing. But that whole quote-unquote liquidation is still profit in your pocket because you already had the thing paid off anyways.
You've paid it off with your work. So, yeah, that's the dream right there for that.
Yeah, so I'm challenging you, Pendar, to steam clean from 10 a.m. to, I don't know, 2 p.m. And then when do you start driving again? Let's figure this out. When do you start? When's
around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. That's when like the.
And then you do it all night?
No.
Okay, so you got time to sleep. My next question is, we got to figure out some time for you to sleep. You need what, like 5 hours?
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, honestly, I can some days I can sleep 5 hours and be okay. Some days it's just because accumulatively I've been putting so much work together in the past like few days together. I can't get 5 hours sleep and be okay. Sometimes I need 7 hours, but normally 5 hours is just about what I need. By 10 o'clock at night here in Southern California, I'm going to sleep and I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's 6 hours. And if I wake up at 4:30, or if I wake up at 5, even more time. But I just want to be out of my house at 5:30 and start driving because, first of all, I don't like the traffic here in Southern California. I want to be making money where it's efficient. There's less traffic. It's still cooler. I don't have to use my AC. People are still in a good mood. They're not late to work. It just. People want to go to LAX. They want to go to the airports. They're catching
You're getting higher
flights.
Quality customers, essentially.
Yes. It's just higher quality, and for that you have to wake up earlier. Because with Uber, you can sign on any time, and maybe you get a ping. But do you want to make more money? You want to go for the surge. You want to go for the guarantees. You want to go for the airport runs. You want to get up early in the morning so you don't have to sit in traffic, and so you can possibly be finished with that right earlier so you can get another one.
Clay, wouldn't you agree that this is a good risk versus reward? You could totally sleep until 10 a.m. and start, but then he's going to be sitting in traffic, blasting his AC, killing his gas, and generally just kind of sitting around in traffic. So to me, it sounds like just great risk for reward. You know the times you need to be out there. You know when it's most efficient for you. And, yeah, I mean, you're really tackling this in an analytical way that really makes sense.
Yeah, but go ahead, Pendar.
Yeah, weekends are a different story. Like weekends, I wouldn't be getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning because nobody gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's rare that people are going to LAX like 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Early, right?
And there are other drivers that could take them. It doesn't have to be me. Like you can always take some times off on Friday mornings. I'm sorry, not Friday mornings, Saturday mornings to catch up for the Saturday night because everybody's going to be going out Saturday nights, and Sunday mornings there's usually nothing going on. There's like some fair what should we call it, like some markets, and like fresh farm markets here, but that's it. There's really nothing going on.
Now I just want to circle back because I want to get your steam cleaner paid off. So according to my calculations, you got about $400 left if you're getting about 47, so you're at 8.5 houses. So let's just round it up to 10. How long would it take you to steam clean the floors of 10 houses? Like a month, a couple months, what?
I mean, if I really wanted to do it, I could do it.
I really want you to do it. I really want you to really want to do it is what I'm getting at here, so we can get that thing kicked off.
When I say if I really wanted to just focus on that and not do anything else, I could do it like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks total. The problem is just sometimes it has to be requested for somebody to come clean the house. So I need to get those, and I need to get on top of it before anybody else gets on top of it. So how TaskRabbit works is they put out the order, and whoever gets it, whoever accepts it faster than anybody else, that's the person who gets it. So I have to constantly be on TaskRabbit and refresh the page and look for people that are looking to get their places cleaned, and I have to accept every single one of them, making sure it's not going against other schedules that I have made, or that's it. So
there's no online app that'll send you a text when a steam cleaning job pops up?
no.
Okay.
They have some things like, you might be interested in this, but then as soon as you go on it, other people have already taken it. So it's like a thing that you always have to be on TaskRabbit and refresh and refresh
Okay.
and refresh.
So in other words, it's not nearly as efficient as Lyft or Uber, which literally dings your phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
when I was getting all those 10, 11 houses, 13 houses, about 2 of them were just on a weekly or bi-weekly return. So I wouldn't even see the owner. They had the key for me. I would just go hit the key, get the key, open the doors, go in, clean the house for a couple hours, finish up, and come back 2 weeks later. I would never see him, but it was on a return basis.
Okay, gotcha. But I think the moral of the story here is, it sounds like you've definitely identified the more efficient business model is Uber and Lyft, where you're literally, it comes to your phone. You don't have to be sitting on a web page, refresh. So
No.
yeah,
I'm sitting on the couch and I'm waiting. I'm drinking my coffee in the morning and I'm looking at the market. I'm reading some Twitter zero hedge stuff and I don't know, whatever else is there. And I'm just, starting my day, and the ping comes in and I leave the house, take my coffee with me, and it's either LAX, it's either a couple like business runs, whatever it is. I don't come back till like 8:30 or 9 o'clock or 10.
Nice. So I bet you have LAX, like you could probably drive that airport with your eyes closed at this point.
And yeah, you probably don't want to do that, but yeah, because everybody will hit you. They just cut you off so badly in there. It's horrible.
LAX
Metaphorically
is horrible
speaking,
to
though,
drive
you
through.
know it. You know it so well, though, that you could
Yes.
probably do it with your eyes closed. Metaphorically speaking, right? I mean, because it sounds
Yeah.
like you've made that drive once or twice.
Yesterday I was there 6 times. I mean,
Well, there you go. All right, so we got to start to wrap things up. So kind of give us a status update. Where do your debts stand? I mean, way back when you decimated the account, you were staring at about $7,000 in credit card debt. So kind of give us your current financial picture and give listeners an insight into what all this hard work, all the rewards that it has so far reaped for you.
okay, so ever since $7,000 being in debt, I didn't have the steam cleaner. I didn't take the Jim Dalton classes. I didn't go to vacation. So I've spent a lot of money and I bought more gears for my studio. So with all of that still, I've lowered it. I paid off $5,000. I've taken the Jim Dalton classes. All my credit cards are now paid off. The only thing I have is my business loan, which I don't even have to pay anything until 2019, but I'm paying it as I'm making money, just so it just be done, so I can get back on my feet and do other things.
And how much is your business loan?
23. Let's give you the exact number. It's about 2,300. Last time I checked it. Let me check again.
We are getting real-time numbers here, folks. There is no issues going on.
One moment, please.
So about $2,000 or so, $2,300.
All right, U.S. Bank, 2393.
$2,393. So you're at 7 down to $2,393. Like I said, you technically don't even have to make any payments to 2019. But I love your attitude. You're going to keep on knocking that thing out and just get rid of it.
I honestly don't want to be on the hamster wheel. I just want to get off and go to what is most efficient, whether it's trading for me. I don't know if trading is for me. I don't know if I can control my mind, but I got to learn to do it, because otherwise all this journey was for this, so I can start trading. So I like to think, I like to hope that I'm going to be disciplined, or get to be disciplined, and follow stops and follow the path of least resistance, and I don't know, and not try to fight the trends and stuff like that,
Right.
But it's just a process, and I know I'm flawed, and I know I have some distorted images of what life should be and what I should be earned and entitled to. So I don't know.
I would argue at this point, given all the hard work and stuff you've been doing, I'd say you've definitely had a mind shift since before you decimated your account. Would you agree with that, Ches? It sounds like Pendar's kind of blooming into a new person here.
Right. Instead of it's, like he said, what he's entitled to and what he should be getting, he puts his nose down to the grindstone and he's earning it every single day. He's got his routines. He's got his plans. The fact that he's moving money around in multiple accounts every single paycheck he gets, that's a huge step in the maturity direction of, pretty much financial freedom in the future. So no, he's absolutely nailing it right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Pendar. Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And for you listeners, I actually not that long ago did a video based on Pendar, and basically it's called, How to Grow Your Trading Account. And it's a case study where I go over all the documents that Pendar sent me. I mean, he sent me tax returns and all this stuff to show just how much money can be made when you want to do it. So this is not in theory. I've seen the documents, and we'll put in the show notes the link to this video where I show literally Pendar's tax document showing how much money he's made by doing all this. So this, like I said, Pendar is not, this is what I read in a book. And then, no, this is stuff that he's actually put into place. So well done to you, Pendar. And we'll definitely have you back at some point, whether it's to talk about trading again or to just see where your financial picture is. But yeah, I appreciate you, your honesty, and just kind of walking us through what you've been done to kind of recover from decimating your account, getting debts under control, and really putting a good strategy in place.
Thank you. I mean, again, I always say it's all about the journey. You'll get to your goal one day. I mean, if you want it right now, you have to pay with interest.
Well said.
Just because you know everything, and just because you know every chart, and I'm talking to myself here. Just because I know every chart and every pattern and stuff like that doesn't mean I can monetize it. And maybe my sense of like personal picture is it's a little bit messed up. Maybe I need to work on that. Maybe I need to start learning to let go and not hang on to things and not be entitled and all that stuff. And I'm learning. It's tough, but
self-discovery is a journey. You got it.
Yeah.
Well said. Well, thank you again, Pendar, for hanging out with us. We really appreciated it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
For you listeners out there, some final things before we go. First, if you're listening on YouTube, check out the channel as a whole. A lot of other videos and content there. Hopefully you decide to subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, click that subscribe button. Definitely on iTunes, if you would leave us a rating, that would be awesome. That really helps us out. And finally, if you're listening on the website, click that share button and leave us a comment. We do read them, and we will reply. So thank you again to all you as listeners. I had a great time, and hopefully you all got some good practical tips on how to maybe approach different avenues in life if you're currently experiencing some like Pendar is. So we will see you all back next week.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.